All right, so joining us today, right now, we have Miss Erica Walker, brand new senior sales manager, which means her agency just did in the last month of October over $100,000 of paid commissions to her and all of her agents. And on top of that, she herself had her breakthrough month and did over $30,000 of personal sales, all virtually from behind the screen and over the phone. And she's going to be sharing with us tonight exactly what she did and how she did that. So, Erica, are you there? Can you hear me okay?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear. So first off, congratulations on senior sales manager, because that's a huge accomplishment.
Thank you so much.
So are you allowed to spill the beans about what your agency will be named, or not till the logo's ready?
Not till the logo's ready. I know I'm
respect
keeping it a secret.
I respect that. I totally respect that. I know it's a big deal getting your logo. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And you're one of the, you're a newer agent here at FFL.
I am.
I've heard your story a little bit. So for those of us on the call that don't know about you or your story, can you just quickly share a little bit about your background and how you got to FFL?
Yes. So I was at a previous company for about a year and a half, was doing really well over there, was making good money, but my team was struggling. They were having good weeks and then they were having bad weeks, and the kind of the revolving door. And it got to a point, honestly, where my brother one day asked me, he wanted to join, and I pretty much told him no, and he was like, you're being so successful. Like, why can't you let, your family, do this with you? None of my friends really knew what I was doing either. I just pretty much kept it to myself. And that honestly made me kind of take a step back and realize, like, okay, one, I always knew that it wasn't a long term, just because there were so many variables that I couldn't control at that other company. And it was something that I just didn't see myself, being there for 5-10 years, let alone bringing family or friends into it. So when my team was struggling and got to that point, I realized I took a step back and was like, I can't keep doing this. I can't compromise my morals and, what I believe in just for money. So I took a step back. I've heard of FFL before. Josh Williams, actually, when he made the switch and started, that caught my eye because he was somebody that was making money at our previous company as well. And he was an acquaintance friend of mine. So I reached out to him. Long story short, pretty much got contracted, didn't do anything for a few months. I took some time off work. Honestly, wasn't sure if I wanted to do insurance anymore. And then finally he called me and was like, hey, just come out here, fly to where I'm at. Let's get some training done. If this is something you don't want to do, then you can quit, but just give it like 60 days, 90 days till the end of the year. And then if you don't want to do it and you're not successful, you can leave and I'll support you. So I went in, got trained, and it was just like a game changer. It was like, okay, this is crazy. I know I can do this. And it's as simple as what they say. And so long story short, October was my first pretty much full month doing this. I worked a little bit in September. I got COVID, so I was out for most of September, just did recruiting here and there. And then October, I had a lot of people that wanted to do virtual or over the phone. And so I just kind of took that leap of faith that I was like, hey, I'm going to master this, or, I'm going to fail. Either way, I want to figure this out. And so that was kind of the jump. And I submitted about $57,000 and issue paid about 38. So it was crazy, but it was really cool.
That's awesome. And I bet you have probably 15-20K it's going to issue first week of November, I bet.
Yes, I do. Yes. I have. Yep. It got rolled over to November.
Yep,
So
that happens. Yep. Someone's on disability making $800 a month. You got to do what's best for the client, and they get paid on the 100%. First, you set it for the first. So I got that. Okay, cool. So from unsure if you want to stay in the industry, September, try to give it a shot. Life had other plans. October, jumping to 57,000. I mean, that's significant, and that's cool, because basically what you did is you made a choice. Yeah. So if someone's on this call today, if they're brand new, that's cool because you make the choice. And if you've been here for a while and you want to push the reset button and take these notes from Erica and apply them, you can make the choice, and it's just a matter of making the decision and going for it. So
100%. Yep. It's definitely a mental thing. I really just had to separate, the past experiences with what FFL has. And it was like, what if it is as good as they say it is, right? What if people really are making the money? What if the clients really do need this and are requesting it, right? And so once you make that mental decision that, hey, I'm all in, I don't care what the roadblocks are, I'm going to push through it and give this a try. Once you do that, it was a game changer for me.
Cool. Okay. Well, let's dive a little bit into the nitty gritty. There's 1L and 3Ps that I think kind of make up our overall just business model and how we operate. You got leads, and then you got the 3Ps: phones, phones, presentations, and products. So let's go through each of those 4 things, and then after that, we can open up for Q&A and questions from the crowd. And if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat throughout so we can get to them during the call tonight. But let's start off with leads. First off, talk to us about your mindset, what kind of leads you're working, how often you buy them, what's a resolved lead, like give us the full lowdown on leads.
Yeah, so it's funny. I actually didn't buy a ton of leads in October until about halfway through, because when we went virtual, I pretty much just cycled through all my other leads that I had already from the previous times that I bought leads. So I was selling like old leads, like 3, 4, 5-month-old leads that I've been just sitting there that, I called through once when I was on, a road trip or something like that. But pretty much what I run is just instance and 1 months. Those are what I buy. So typically I'll buy leads. I spend anywhere from like $1,500 to $2,000 a week in leads. I'll call through them a batch, Monday, Tuesday, and then buy new leads for, Wednesday, Thursday. And then sometimes like Friday and Saturday, I'll like change my burner number, go back to the first batch of leads and call through those again. So that's kind of my system. So I just buy the instance in 1 month.
Okay. So the $1,500 to $2,000 a week you're spending right now, about how many leads is that getting you between the coupon codes and, sometimes more 1 month an instance or et cetera, like about how many leads per week?
Each dial session, I buy like 120. So 240, 250 around there.
It's about 250 a week. Okay. Nice. And then, so $1,500 to $2,000 a week on instance in 1 month. You also went back through and closed your old leads, but good segue into phones, because it sounds like they go hand in hand.
Yep.
You mentioned, because the typical FFL structure is you dial Monday, run appointments Tuesday, Wednesday, you dial Thursday, run appointments Friday, Saturday. You're not doing that.
No.
It sounds like you're doing all one call closes. Are you setting any appointments, or?
I'm doing all one call closes. I don't set any appointments at all.
Okay. So you just buy your leads, and every day it's on phone burner, just going through those leads until you get the next batch. And okay. So talk to us then about what your dial days look like, because it's a different kind of discipline than what most people are used to. So talk to us about how, if you got those 120 leads to work Monday, Tuesday, what does that look like? When do you start? How many dials, et cetera?
Yeah, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the coffin. Like, it's discipline. A lot of people, have this love-hate relationship with dial days. For me, I'm like, I came from having to like slow dial leads. So I'm like, oh my gosh, phone burner. Like, are you kidding me? I have to just sit there and I can watch, Netflix and dial my leads. Like, this is amazing. So I'm very like structured. I'm start dialing at 8 o'clock. And then I'm just calling through my leads, triple dialing them. And if I get an answer, I go through my script. I try to get a presentation right then and there. You will have people that obviously are like, oh, I'm at work, or oh, I'm busy. And again, I don't try to set an appointment. I just say, hey, okay, when are you off work? Mary, oh, 5 o'clock. Okay, perfect. Well, I have a lot of other clients I need to talk to today. So I'll give you a call back around 5:36. Sound good? Okay. And then I put like it in my calendar to call her back and then resolve it out of phone burner. But I'm pretty much just doing that all day. So I'm just trying to get a hold of people and do a right then presentation.
Okay, cool. And for anyone, so if people don't know what phone burner is, if you're a newer agent, it's a lifesaver and a game changer.
Gosh, yeah.
It's essentially an auto dialer, not the illegal kind of auto dialer that, like, there's illegal kinds, then there's legal kinds. This is the legal kind. This is like a good one. It's about 150-ish bucks a month through the website I posted in the chat, phoneburneragencytraining.com. You essentially take your spreadsheet, you upload it into phone burner, and you could do hundreds of leads at a time. Got to make sure they're internet leads, which is what Erica said, instance and 1 month. And then with those leads, it'll automatically dial through them and does about 80 to 100 dials per hour. So if you think about how long it would take to manually dial 80 to 100 dials versus knowing that you could do an hour, 80 to 100 dials, on average, how many dials are you doing per day, Erica?
Probably around 600.
About 600. So that's about anywhere from 5 to 8 hours of work, depending on how many sales you're getting, how many full conversations you're having. Is that about right?
Yeah, typically when I was just setting appointments for the field the next day, I would average about 1,100 calls. So typically when I'm trying to get presentations and talk to people, doing a whole, spiel, I'm averaging less, obviously, because I'm taking that time to do a presentation. So on days that I don't do a lot of presentations, it's higher. On days that I am presenting more, it's lower.
Okay. And how many times with internet leads? Because I hear this all the time, but people just need to realize it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
How many times do you get told F you, I'm not interested, I never filled that out, click, versus getting a sale? Like, what's kind of the ratio that you're seeing?
Oh, I get more FU than I do sales.
Yeah. And I think it's important for people to hear that, because there is no such thing as a perfect lead, and definitely internet leads aren't perfect leads, but you get 120 plus cycling through old batches that you've bought. You got to do 500, 600, 700 dials. But I mean, how much are you submitting per week right now on average?
I'm averaging about 15,000.
$15,000 a week.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot of FUs, but I'll take the FUs to make 15,000 a week.
I don't know. Maybe you just have to make like a joke of it. Like I just laugh, I'm like, all right, have a good day.
On to the next one. So, okay. And so let's talk a little bit about your actual presentation. You use Josh Williams's one call close script. Is it exactly that, or is it a little?
No, mine's a little different, but it's pretty much the same.
Cool. Okay. So I'm gonna quickly pull up his just as a reference for people.
Cool. Yeah.
And then you could tell us how you do it, different, the same, etc. But let me go quickly get his pulled up. So, guys, if you go to checklist.fflfire.com, click on virtual sales, and you scroll down here to one call close script. And by the way, Erica, we're gonna put your video tonight right here. So it'll be kind of a good review. Yes, you're gonna be famous. So, awesome. But right now, in the meantime, this is one call close script. This is Josh's. And so for people who aren't familiar with it or have just never done one call closes, I'm going to kind of open the floor to you. Take as long as you want. Just talk about this script, talk about what you're doing. The floor is yours. Yeah, perfect. Can you make it a little bigger? Yeah, for sure. Let me zoom in. I mean, I pretty much memorize it. Yeah. I'm supposed to do it a lot, I know. So, so work with that. If you need more, let me know, but let's start with this. Yeah, so pretty much it's pretty simple. As you notice, it's shorter than in the home. But I pretty much say what this is. So I just say, hi, this is Erica. I'm with the Benefits Center for the state of Florida. I'm giving you a call in regards to the request that you sent in for life insurance. I'm sure you're getting a bunch of spam and robocalls, but this is actually about the request that you sent in. Just need to verify a couple of things. I have your date of birth as this. Now, when you filled this out, were you looking to cover just yourself, or did you have a spouse as well? Oh, just themselves. Okay, perfect. So we're doing everything over the phone now. It will take about 15 minutes. Go ahead and grab a pen and paper so I can get this taken care of for you. And then if they say, okay, perfect, then I say, all right, go ahead and write down my name. It's Erica Walker, and my state license number is this. They do just require us to give that to you just for security reasons. And then I just go into, so, obviously you're looking for life insurance. Am I your first stop, or have you been trying to get approved for a while? Oh, well, this is the first time. I go, okay, great. So this will be super easy for you then. What I am is I'm a broker with the state of Florida. Okay. So that means that all the insurance companies that you can get, I have access to pull those up. So instead of meeting with, 20 different life insurance agents, it's kind of like a one-stop shop. Okay. Now, obviously, I'm not going to give you, 100 different options. Okay. But what I am going to do is I'm going to ask you some medical background questions. I'm going to put your information into the system, and then that'll give me an idea pretty much of what company is most likely to accept you.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you know, but life insurance isn't something you can just buy. You do have to qualify for it. Okay. But I'm going to do my best to get you with a company that fits your budget and that will accept you. And then after that, I ask them their medical background questions. I find out why they filled it out. If it's more, they want to cover mortgage, I dive in more to that. So that's giving me an idea of what their need is. And then I pretty much just put all of their information into Americo. Before I do that, I just say, okay, John, so I'm going to put your information into our system. Okay. Now you're not going to be able to pay for anything today. Nothing's going to come out of your account today. But this is going to give me an idea of what company is most likely to accept you. Okay. And I put their information directly into Americo. So I have everything when it comes to, I know one of the biggest objections that people get is like social, right? So what I do with that is I ask all the other questions, and during that time, I'm like building a report. Like if they're from California, I'm like, oh, my aunt and uncle used to live in California. If they're, I'm finding something during that time to like relate to them on. Right. So then when I get to social, I ask, how tall they are, all the other stuff. Social last, I go, okay, John, I'm going to send you an email. It's going to be a medical release form. So for you to sign, and it's attached to your medical records. So that's going to let me know what company will accept you. It's most likely to approve you. And then I go, so what's your social? And if they're like 90% of the time, they just give it to me. You're going to have those people that are like, well, why do you need that? I go, because your medical records are attached to your social. We don't do any in-home exams or blood work. That's how the company runs your medical records. They're like, oh, okay. So telling them like, hey, I'm going to send you something to sign and it's confidential. They are a lot more open to giving me that information. And I'll have people be like, yeah, I really don't like giving my social out. I was like, I know, John, what's your social? And then they just, you're just agreeing with them. So that's pretty much my process. And then if they're approved with Americo, then I give them quotes, or if they're denied with Americo, I say the same thing. They're denied or approved. Okay, perfect, John. So it looks like I have a company that you have a good chance of qualifying for. Okay, we'll have to finish submitting the application to get the final approval. And then I give them options, and then I say, so, you say you want to leave behind, money for your funeral. So this is where I kind of dig more into their why. I go, so, John, if something happened to you yesterday, who would be taking care of everything today for you? Well, my daughter. Okay, where does she live? Does she live local? No. Is she married? Have a family? Does she work? Yep. Okay. So does she have 20, 30 grand laying around to take care of all your expenses? Well, no. Okay. So I can tell that you're wanting to get this taken care of so that your daughter, who has a family and a husband and kids, doesn't have to fly all the way over here on the worst day of her life and try to figure out and be stressed of how she's going to come up with money to cover your funeral, right? Yes, that's exactly why. Okay, perfect, John. So I want you to write down 30,000. I want you to write down 20,000. And then I want you to write down, 15,000. And then I explain whatever product it is. I not once I ever say a company, because you don't know, they could get denied with Americo, right? So I'm not going to talk up a company. I'm just going to talk up the product, so explain the product. Okay, John, so this is, whole life, right? Go over that. And then I have them write down the price. Okay, next to 30,000, write down 300, 20,000, write down 200, 15,000, write down 150. Now, which one of these, 30,000, 20,000, or 10,000? The 10,000 is more for people that are on a budget, that are on a fixed income. Okay. The 20,000 is people that, want to make sure that just the bare minimum is taken care of. And then the 30,000 is for people that want to leave behind a little bit extra money as well. Which one of these do you want to leave behind to your daughter? And then I just wait and I let them pick. Right. And so then I go, okay, perfect. Now I'm not sure if you're going to be able to qualify, but I'm going to do my best, right? Go get your driver's license. And then I finish filling out the application. So
that's awesome.
That's pretty much exactly what I do every time.
Hey guys, drop a 2 in the chat if you guys thought that was a pretty good presentation. I thought that was really good. I know I'm going to listen to that on repeat. I think that was awesome. A couple questions I have, and you may have said it, but I know you said a lot there. In terms of letting them know about social, bank account, things like that, when does that come up in your conversation typically?
So I just address it when it comes up. Like social, I'll literally ask them right then and there when I get, after I'm filling out the Americo app, what their social is. Bank account, sometimes I'll say in the beginning, okay, if you do get approved, you do have, they do require you to have a valid banking account. Do you have that? After I find out, like, if they're working, things like that, if they're on disability, ask, or are you getting money from the government? Does that go on a direct express card or right to your banking account? Right. And so that's kind of how you can ask. A lot of times I'm just like pretty upfront with them as I'm going through those, the questions. I'm just like, okay, if you get approved, they require a valid banking account. Do you have that? Yes, we do. Okay, perfect. No, then I,
Well, Erica, why do you need to know my bank account info? I don't just give that out over the phone.
I say, well, to pay for your life insurance application.
That's simple.
That's
people
simple. Are like,
yeah, you filled out a request for life insurance. I'm the guy getting your life insurance.
Yeah.
You buy it. Yeah.
Yeah. And, people I think are like doing that, well, to check for fraud, all that stuff. It's like, no, then they're like shocked when money comes out of their account, right? They're like, I thought you were just checking for fraud and I wasn't even paying for anything. It's like, no, money's going to come out of your checking account. It's for your life insurance application. And then if I get pushback on the banking, I just say, okay, John, have you ever, written a check to the little kid that mowed your lawn? Well, yeah. Okay. So your routing and account number is on that check. Did you know that? Well, yeah. So that's meant to be passed around. Now your debit card, that's something that's not meant to be passed around. So you want to make sure that you don't give that out over the phone. And then they're like, oh, yeah, you're right. I have written a check to the little kid, or some random person. So then they're then I'm like, okay. And another thing you can do, I know a lot of people
meant to be passed around. I'm going to remember that word track. Yeah, it's on the check because it's meant to be passed around. Don't give out your credit card number, John, but yeah, that's meant to be passed around.
And it gets them thinking like, yeah, I have written checks. And one thing I do too is I'll be like, okay, John, who do you bank with? Oh, Bank of America. And you can Google Bank of America, whatever state routing number. All right, so I just want to verify I have what pulls up is your routing number is this, this, and this. Is that correct? And then 9 out of 10 times they're like, oh, I have no idea. Let me go grab my checkbook or let me pull up on my online banking, right? They're like, yep, that's correct. It's like, okay, now what's your account number? Wait, why do you need that? For your life insurance application. Okay.
I like that. Just straightforward to the point. So I've definitely tried to get like perfect with my word tracks sometimes with that, and sometimes it could come off a little bit like there's something not there he's not telling me. So I like how straightforward you are with that. Okay, cool. A good question we had in the chat is, what if they're not approved in terms of underwriting? I know for me, what I like to do, especially if I'm doing like a virtual sale, if I'm unsure, I will literally have like the Slack app on my phone, and in real time I will post in home help and get an answer from the underwriting genies right there in real time. And I could be at least running the Americo pre-check, so basically I'm getting all their conditions, and then I type it all into the underwriting genies while I'm fudging around for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, click send in home help and Slack. And then while they're doing their thing over there, I'm starting an Americo pre-check. That way, if they do get declined, I can go check that right away and I'll have an answer of where I should go next. Do you do something similar, or what would you recommend?
Yeah, Underwriting Genie is amazing. I use that all the time. I think you kind of get the hang of, after you do it so many times, like, oh, America won't take, this, then I'll run them through Aetna. So typically if they don't get approved through Americo, I run them right through Aetna. But other than if it's whole life, if it's term, Americo, and then I love John Hancock. But they're, especially for virtual, John Hancock's thing is just so easy. But I do use the Underwriting Genie a lot. And one thing too, for new people, I had all the notifications on, so I can literally read like everybody that's asking questions in the Underwriting Genie, just to kind of familiarize myself, like, oh, that's their situation, this is what they recommended. But there's people that you get approved through Americo. Like, why I write so much Americo business is I run everything through Americo, like, unless they have an answer or something, because you'd be so surprised, like what's gotten approved that, if I would have put it in, even in the underwriting genie or something, they would have told me to go with Aetna right away. It's like, so I always just 90% of the time run through Americo.
I like that. I'm similar. When in doubt, try Americo. And again, while you're trying Americo, you can post in the in-home help channel in Slack. And that way you at least have a backup on standby if you get a decline in 5 minutes. And again, like you said, you don't make it a big deal. You just say, cool, looks like we found a company that should be able to get you approved. I like that.
I will say one thing I do say at the very end, if they get declined with Americo and I put them with a different company, I do say, hey, John, you are going to get a letter from Americo saying you were declined. I actually put you with Aetna. We ran a few companies, because what's happened to me, and this is your personal preference if you want to say or not, but clients get a letter in the mail from Americo saying they've been declined. And I've had people call me thinking like that they didn't have coverage anymore. Like a lot of our, people are seniors and they're older. And even though I tell them who their carrier is, they still think that, they don't have coverage. And so they'll call me freaking out or upset or something like that when the money's been taken out. So I just let them know, like, hey, Americo is one company we tried to get you qualified for. They didn't accept you. We went with Aetna, just being like straight up with them. Like people appreciate the, being black and white.
I love that. You are a very straight to the point kind of person. And I think when over the phone, I think that's more important than in person. In person, you can have some fun and fudge around and look at the pictures and pet the dog and stuff like that. But over the phone, like if someone's trying to do it over the phone, they're not trying to chat all day. Like they got stuff to do. There's distractions everywhere. Let's just stay focused, stay on topic, get this over with. So on average, start to finish, how long does your average sale take start to finish?
If I'm selling, about 25, 30 minutes.
Okay. Straightforward, straight to the point. Grab a pen and paper. We'll have this done in 15, 20 minutes and you're seriously are done 15, 20 minutes. So
pretty much done.
Cool. Okay. Any other last, as questions continue to come in, we'll kind of address maybe 2 or 3 more questions and wrap this call up tonight. Any other last tidbits, or maybe if you want to put a pretty bow as a summary, start to finish, leads, phones, presentations, cementing, start to finish, kind of your whole game plan if you're explaining it to a new agent what you do?
I think the biggest piece of advice for doing virtual is you just have to be disciplined. You have to, be really protect your hours that you're dialing. And I got crazy when I was going for like a big month. I would work different time zones, so if I was in Florida, I would be working West Coast time and then Hawaii time if I didn't, hit my goal. I tried to literally do 5K every day, and if it was like, if I wasn't at, a sale or two, I was still working. So I think that's the biggest thing. And it's going to take, time getting used to it. But I think the biggest thing is just being confident on the phone, keeping it, straight to the point, but also building a rapport with people to let them know like, hey, I'm not a telemarketer. I think that's the biggest thing.
If someone's scared, how do you take an agent that says, I'll spend the money, I'll spend $700, $800, $1,500 on internet leads and I'll get the phone burner, but I'm just scared. I've never done this before. What would you tell someone? I was scared
too. I was scared. I had like anxiety picking up the phone the first time, especially doing virtual over the phone. It was really, nerve-wracking. I think it's just, you have to just get over it, to be honest. Like fail forward. The first week and a half, we rewrote the script like 3 times. I started out by saying, you need to have your bank account, social, like it was what I said. No wonder why I was getting hung up on so much, but you just have to go for it and you're going to find the little things that work for you. And I think that's anything in sales is the fear. And you just have to just pick up the phone and do it. And even if you're the worst agent, this business is people requesting life insurance and you're going to run into people that want it, so I'm not a salesperson. You don't have to be good at sales. You just got to dive in.
Cool. I love it. All right, let's get a couple of these questions and we'll wrap this up tonight. So someone asked about Americo changing the price. They'll only change the price if it's a guaranteed issue, which is a product we don't write. So if you get a notice saying, unfortunately, due to blah, 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 that would be the equivalent of a decline. That's where you pivot to a different company. They will not change the price if they pass the pre-check. It's either would be if it was guaranteed issue, if it was just a straight decline. So to answer that question, do you go through the health questions with the clients before running the MIB pre-check?
No, I do. Well, I ask them on the inventory sheet. I ask them all
Financial
those
inventory.
questions.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let me go share this for him, just in case some people, because again, this is a new agent call, some people may not know this, right? So financial inventory, if you are here on this checklist website again, you can see right here, there's something called financial inventory. And this is the same exact, piece of paper that we use in homes, but obviously you don't have the credibility sheet. So you have to build your own credibility doing what Erica said. But from an underwriting perspective, this part here is clutch. Asking questions like this to kind of get an idea of their finances and their health before you do that pre-check. Is this what you use?
Yep, I do.
Cool. Yep. So right down here to answer that person's question, this is going to give you a pretty good direction as you get more experience. And if you're still unsure, use the in-home help channel, use your managers, really good resources. So I do the exact same thing. I go off this list of questions and I ask about surgeries. That will usually give me an answer 90% of the time, kind of what we're looking at. So cool. All right, let's keep it rolling here through these questions. Is there a tutorial for phone burner? Phoneburneragencytraining.com. Phoneburneragencytraining.com. Save that site. That is all about phone burner, and you can also go sign up for phone burner there. About lease, for paying for them is something that's tax deductible. Consult with your CPA, but yes. So totally separate subject, but from a tax perspective, at the end of the year, you're going to do one of two things at the end of the year. You're either going to show a profit in your business and pay Uncle Sam, or you could find a way to spend money back in your business and pay less taxes. And so when people say, well, I want to profit 30,000 a month. I'm like, you're setting yourself up for a huge tax bill. I'd rather buy more leads for my agents and for myself, but that's just me personally. But we could have a whole hour-long discussion with CPAs about taxes. That's a whole nother day. So what are the main objections you get on the phone typically?
The main one I get is I've already got it taken care of, right? So over the phone, in person, we could be like, perfect, I'm going to come over, do a policy review, right? What I say in that situation, if somebody says that they already have it taken care of, I go, okay, great, John. So let me, just so I can get your file updated here and closed out, what company did you end up going with? Oh, Mutual of Omaha. Okay. Is there a reason you couldn't qualify for one of our top carriers, that they put you with one of our secondary companies? And then they're like, wait, what do you mean? Well, are you unhealthy? Like, do you have health issues going on? Because typically we try to get people qualified with one of our top companies that has living benefits. And if they're like, no, I have nothing going on, no health issues, then I'm like, okay, how much are you paying? How much coverage? And then I go, okay, no problem. We can get this switched over real quick. It'll take about 10 minutes.
Smooth.
What I do.
Smooth. Yeah. So if they're already with a cheap company, try to go living benefits route. If they already have living benefits, you could always try to undercut them with price. So just different angles. I like that. Were you unhealthy? Like, why'd you go with one of the secondary companies? And then all of a sudden
I just act surprised. I'm like, is there a reason like they put you with a secondary company? And they're like, what do you mean? No one likes to have the secondary.
Cool. Good question. Dave asks, do you get pushback after you said you're not taking money in the beginning after you asked for the account and routing number?
No. If anybody is like, oh, well, you're not taking money out today, right? I go, nope, it'll come out if you're approved, it'll come out within 2 to 3 business days.
No, they just require me to put this on because you're getting life insurance.
Yep.
Very straightforward. Cool. I like that. I know Paul raised his hand. So Paul, if you want to jump in real quick and then we'll get this call wrapped up.
Definitely. Hey, Erica, I appreciate everything you're helping us with today. Definitely want to start trying the one call closes. Would you mind sharing your phone number so I could reach out to you if I ever have trouble?
Yeah, for sure. I'll put my phone number in the chat for you guys.
Perfect. Appreciate that very much. And guys, she's also in Slack, so if you do lose this phone number, like inside of Slack, she's Erica Walker in Slack, and she's posting about 4 or 5 sales a day, so you can't miss her. So
I know it's been a couple of days since I've been in the field. I've been flying home and training. I'm like, okay, tomorrow it's like I'm getting antsy.